Hollywood celebrated Teyana Taylor with awards, recognition, and opportunities. She received a Golden Globe, starred in a Ryan Murphy series, and even attracted Oscar buzz. She secured a studio deal, enjoyed widespread media attention, and maintained a carefully managed public image that made her seem controlled, polished, and effortlessly successful. Yet, despite all the accolades and opportunities, there was one thing Hollywood never granted her: full creative control. According to Katt Williams, that's precisely what terrifies the industry the most. The moment Teyana stepped behind the camera and began making her own decisions, she ceased being just a performer. She became a threat. Not because of what she had done publicly, but because of what she had observed privately, behind the scenes, and what she might reveal if she chose to. In his latest Netflix special, Katt's warning is clear and unsettling. Hollywood isn't attempting to erase Teyana because she's difficult. They are attempting to erase her because she is dangerous. And there is a crucial difference between those two labels. To understand why this warning matters, it's necessary to recognize how rare and challenging Teyana's rise truly was. In Hollywood, most talent follows a singular, narrowly defined path. You are either a singer or an actor, a performer or a director. The system is meticulously designed to keep artists specialized, dependent, and beholden to gatekeepers for every opportunity. Deviating from that path risks scrutiny, skepticism, and deliberate obstruction. Teyana refused to fit into any box, and she did so openly. She started as a teenager from Harlem, discovered by Pharrell, and choreographed for Beyoncé before most of her peers had even decided on a college major. She then entered some of the most influential creative circles in hip-hop history. Signing with Kanye West's label at its peak didn't simply signify a record deal. It meant immersion in a complete ecosystem that influenced music, fashion, film, and the often hidden workings of the entertainment world. Teyana wasn't an outsider. She was in the rooms where deals were made, careers were built and dismantled, all while the broader public assumed she was solely focused on performing. She was learning, observing, and absorbing every detail. That knowledge would later become the source of her power. Before her Golden Globe or Ryan Murphy's attention, there was a moment when the industry nearly silenced her entirely. Teyana went public on Instagram to announce her retirement from music. Media outlets spun it as a story of creative differences, but the reality was far more revealing. She had asked her label, Def Jam, at least 10 separate times to release her from her contract, and each time, her requests were ignored. This wasn't a minor disagreement or a simple hiccup. It was a system refusing to release someone whose value they weren't finished exploiting. Katt Williams identifies this moment as the first true sign of the industry's grip. Her retirement was never a choice. It was a door slammed shut on her, meant to prevent her from opening new ones. Eventually, she was released, but the pause came at a significant cost, damaging her momentum in music. Instead of disappearing, however, she pivoted toward film, cultivating a career in a medium that contracts and conventional systems couldn't easily control. That shift fundamentally altered the trajectory of her influence. By 2024, Katt Williams was publicly naming names, exposing hidden structures, and documenting mechanisms that control talent in ways most audiences never see. Teyana Taylor's name now carries weight because she has been inside those very systems, witnessed the contracts, observed the rules, and lived the experience. The system that once tried to contain her remains intact. But Teyana is no longer confined. She is free, aware, and in many ways unstoppable. Hollywood didn't suddenly decide she was a problem. For more than 15 years, the industry has treated her as one. The so-called blacklist isn't a recent invention. It has existed quietly behind the scenes until now, only becoming visible to the public through the scrutiny of observers like Katt Williams. What makes Teyana's story particularly distinct from other artists who have resisted the system is the difference between being in front of the camera and being behind it. Performers are tightly managed. Every aspect of their image, work, and personal story is filtered through layers of agents, publicists, and managers whose livelihoods depend on keeping that talent productive and obedient. Performers are expected to follow the rules, meet deadlines, and never step out of line. Directors, however, occupy a wholly different sphere. A director controls the narrative itself, deciding what gets included, what is omitted, which perspectives are highlighted, and ultimately what the audience sees. A director with full creative control wields a kind of autonomy that the performer track is specifically designed to prevent. Teyana Taylor's directorial debut, Get Light, exemplifies that power. Paramount Pictures is attached, and the film draws deeply from the culture Teyana grew up in, telling a story from a perspective rarely afforded such studio support, budget, or distribution opportunities. On the surface, this is a milestone, a project that would typically be celebrated as groundbreaking. Yet according to Katt Williams, the executives who approved it are terrified, not of the story itself, but of the director and what she could choose to reveal if she stops being cautious. This fear is not unfounded. Filmmakers have long used their craft as a way to communicate truths that cannot be spoken openly. They embed coded references, symbolic imagery, and subtle narratives for attentive audiences. This tradition is particularly strong in Black cinema, where openly challenging power has historically invited severe consequences. Directors rely on the visual language of their work to say what must be said, trusting the audience to decode the message. Despite its significance, Get Light has already experienced unexpected delays. Its release timeline has gone silent, and Paramount has ceased actively promoting it. In another context, such pauses might be dismissed as normal production delays. However, the timing coincides with heightened attention on Teyana and Katt Williams' revelations, suggesting a pattern rather than a mere coincidence. Around the same period, Teyana's relationship with Aaron Pierre quietly ended. Official statements cited scheduling conflicts and career pressures as the reason for the split, a narrative both clean and familiar. Yet the alignment with industry tensions feels more than coincidental, fueling ongoing speculation online. Beneath these events is a discernible pattern. Hollywood has long operated a documented system for neutralizing Black women the moment they accumulate enough power to become uncontrollable. First, rumors are planted. She's difficult, emotional, hard to work with. No incidents are cited, no sources named, only repetition until the public accepts the narrative as fact. History demonstrates this mechanism. Monique faced it after her Oscar win. Taraji P. Henson experienced it after openly discussing pay disparities. The particulars vary, but the method remains consistent. Identify the leverage point, shift the narrative onto the individual, and wait for public attention to fade. Teyana's situation, however, is different. Katt Williams explains that she doesn't merely seek fair pay or public recognition. She reportedly possesses detailed documentation of deal structures, profit flows, and what artists are required to surrender to succeed. This transforms the story from one of managing a difficult artist into one of controlling a witness. Footage doesn't vanish spontaneously. It cannot erase itself. A director who has spent 15 years observing, memorizing, and documenting knows exactly what she wants to communicate when she picks up a camera. Get Light has yet to be released, and its timeline remains quiet. Meanwhile, Katt Williams continues speaking, and a growing audience is following the story closely. Hollywood's conspicuous silence is louder than any press statement could ever be. The pressing question isn't whether Teyana has the information. She almost certainly does. The real question is whether the industry can afford to see what she might do with it. Based on the past decade and a half, the answer seems clear. They already know. Their only problem is that they cannot openly admit it. Teyana Taylor's story is not merely about talent or fame. It is about power, insight, and the courage to challenge a system explicitly designed to control her. She has witnessed the machinations of contracts, career manipulation, and the silencing of women like herself. Now, as she moves behind the camera, she is no longer a participant in someone else's story. She is writing her own, and that is precisely what Hollywood fears most. Her rise, her observations, and her transition into directorial control illustrate a rare journey in an industry built on control, conformity, and limitation. Teyana Taylor embodies a threat not because she is vocal, but because she is informed, strategic, and empowered. She has been inside the boardrooms, seen the deals, understood the rules, and remembered every detail. That knowledge is a form of influence that no contract, publicist, or studio memo can suppress. And as she continues to assert her creative autonomy, Hollywood's unease is a reflection of the one truth the system cannot reconcile. When someone knows too much and refuses to be controlled, they cannot be managed, they can only be respected or feared.